Welcome to the Arsenal show. We are live. It's Champions League back. Champions League is back. I'm joined by Steve K. The January transfer window is open. Arsenal are rumoured with a couple of players. One in particular, Matheus Cunha. He's the latest player linked with Arsenal at the moment. Wolves and Brazilian international forward. Steve, let's jump straight into that one. There's been a lot of people probably excited about some transfer news, at least. What's the latest you've got on that?
Well, the latest I have on it was that it came out this afternoon, I think, around about lunchtime, that personal terms had been agreed with Matheus Cunha with Arsenal. Now, that came from a very good source. That was, the person who put that one out there is someone very trustworthy. Very well respected in the industry by Arsenal journalists. And after that, I found out that there was a bit of a gap in valuation, and there was a little bit of and it wasn't really going anywhere at the moment, regarding the actual sort of eventual signing, if you like. I think that Wolves are sort of valuing him at of something around 70-80 million, and Arsenal are valuing him at somewhere around 45-50. Yeah, I know. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? 78. You're relegation fodder. Do you know what I mean? And you're expecting this guy to Anyway, from what I'm imagining, there has been some news that's come out sort of just before we come on tonight, with someone saying that there hasn't been personal terms, but I've never heard such a most ridiculous tweet from someone who I would normally respect. It just don't make any sense that apparently reports are saying now that came out earlier that personal terms hasn't agreed by what this person's saying. But Arsenal are still in touch with the agents of Matheus Cunha, which I've had confirmed, and they're waiting for Wolves and Cunha to sort their whatever out between the two of them. Mm-hmm. So how the hell does this person think that Arsenal hasn't spoken to a sitting there with their agent, and they haven't spoken about personal terms and waiting for Wolves? I have no idea. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So as far as I'm, but look, this happens in the transfer world. People do this. Sometimes they'll talk to someone and they'll put something out just to be different and to get clicks and likes. And it's quite annoyed me over it, because it's not my story that's being dunked on. It's the person who actually come up with the news that there had been personal terms, and I've had it confirmed. But anyway, that's another thing. Back onto the player. It seems to me, Kears, it seems to me a little bit like the Trossard one. This one, apart from the money, Cunha seems to be someone who's kicking up a stink. He agreed a new contract, and now he's just literally plain out refusing to sign it for whatever reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just will not sign this new contract. It's all been agreed. They've sat down. He's read the paperwork. He's he's nodded. But now Arsenal have come knocking. He's refusing to sign it. That's the information I've been given anyway, that he's refusing to sign this contract and basically he wants out. The story goes a little bit further, because if people are aware of the weekend in the game, there was a big argument between Cunha and the manager of Wolves, where Cunha just stormed off the pitch after the game and walked down the tunnel. Mm-hmm. And the manager come out and literally slagged Cunha off to the world afterwards. So
really?
Yeah, so I doubt if that's gone down very well. Yeah, I mean, I listened to his like post-match conference just before we come on tonight, and he literally sort of like slaughtered him, saying that I'm not going to stand for this anymore. He can't go down the tunnel. How dare he if he does it again? And I'm like, well, this ain't. This is sort of going to one of them like Trossard moments, if you can remember, like back in the Brighton days where they just couldn't get on. They had an argument and he was just refusing to. So it seems to be going on that way. But yeah, it looks like his head's been turned and he just wants out. But as I said, the problem, that's their problem. On Arsenal side of it, there's still the the situation, the fact that there's this big fee that they're asking for, that they want 70-80 million. Yeah. And look, Arsenal ain't going to be like Arsenal ain't going to be dictated to. You know what I mean? They're not going to be messed around. They're not going to. They valued him, and that's what they feel he's worth, and they won't pay any more than that. So look, it's one to watch. It's one to keep your eye on. But go on, mate.
With Cunha, what's your thoughts in terms of the profile of Cunha? What position do you see him taking up? Is this a Cunha instead of a Sesko, or the any other option that Arsenal have been looking at, or is this as well as what's your thoughts on it?
Well, for me, like sort of profiling the player, from what I've seen of him, I mean, Mikel Arteta obviously might have other ideas. But from what I've seen, he's like he's a left side. He seems to be played more from the left. Do you know what I mean? That seems to be where he's played mostly. But I've seen him for Wolves. I mean, apparently he can play as a centre forward. Mm-hmm. And he can score goals, and I think over the last season he's proved that with Wolves. His assists and his goals are pretty high. But for me, it seems to me that he plays his best football on the left. He's right-footed, so it's like that type of player who's on the left but then cuts in on his right foot. Because like Martinelli, we want someone who goes down the line, crosses with their left. We really look at more of a right-footed left-sided player who can cut in, and that's what Cunha is. But yeah, I mean, he's quick, he's fast, he's powerful. He looks to have all the ability, someone that you would think would do well at Arsenal. Doing it at Wolves and doing it at Arsenal, two different things. But he don't come across to me from what I've seen as a centre forward. So.
I'm just going through Wolves games. They play Larson up front, who's the big striker, big burly striker, and they play Cunha just off of the off the left, just behind. So it does very much seem that way. Because I'm sure people are probably questioning where did this Cunha one come out of like. It does seem a bit out of nowhere. I know there has been rumours recently, but like nothing more than that, really.
I mean, this is something that we've spoke about on the show for the last couple of weeks, and it's something that we've also spoken on Monday night shows, transfer exchange shows. We're seeing Arsenal fans. We all know that you want signings, you want a couple of players, but this is your typical example of going in January and maybe getting not your number one target. Because if Matthias Cunha does sign in January, I'm telling you now, I'm telling you now, forget Nico Williams.
Yeah.
And Arsenal fans, if that's what you want, fine, absolutely fine. But he will, Nico Williams, forget it.
Yeah,
forget it. He's gone. I have the feeling, Kears, and I don't know this for 100%. I know that Arsenal have tried to get Williams out in January. And I think it's just a no. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just Bilbao said no. We're not doing any business in. We've had this agreement for the summer. That's what we stick to. That's what we spoke. That's how it is.
Yeah.
And I think now Arsenal have moved on. I've got a funny feeling. I hope that they hadn't. Personally, for me, I would rather we'd just wait.
Yeah.
I would rather stick with Martinelli, and I'd rather stick with Trossard than getting Cunha in. Who look, he's a good player. He is. He's a really good player, and he's powerful, and he's quick, and he's fast, and he's got all these attributes.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. He's not the number one. He's the number one, Nico Williams.
Yeah.
And look, Arsenal fans, this is what I've been talking to you about for weeks. If Cunha comes in and he's not that guy, we don't want to see everybody moaning, why didn't we buy Williams? Because this is what you've wanted.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it anyway. And from my information, that's sort of like the way it's sort of panning out. But yeah, it probably. It looks like Arteta's looking for someone who can play on the left and play up front. So he's probably looking at someone who's like, because we've had like two players out in Saka and Jesus. He's looking at someone who could, and also our left side's been off form. He's probably looking at someone who can do the lot in January. And he wanted Williams. Yeah, and he can't get him. He's gone for Cunha.
What about people that say, well, Cunha can also play on the right, can play across the three?
Yeah,
it shouldn't necessarily rule out a Williams who's predominantly a left. With Arsenal needing and have been screaming for competition or at least backup for Saka. What about people that say that?
Well, yeah, I don't think. If these two players can walk into most sides in Europe, what are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? Saka's always going to start. Saka's the number one man. In front of Williams, in front of Cunha, in front of most left-sided players. Take out Salah, he's probably the second best right-sided player in world football right now. So he's not being left out. And Williams is certainly not coming to be a bit part player, and nor is Cunha. So you won't be getting both. You may be like, in like a, in a. If everything was like, in fantasy land or something, we could pick who we wanted, and yeah, great. But these players are not going to come. You're just not. You're not. So it was for me. It's going to be one or the other, and then they'll concentrate. They'll bring in Zubamendi in the summer, and then they'll bring in their chosen striker, whoever that may be.
Yeah, so Cunha this season has racked up 14 goal contributions in the Premier League, 10 goals and 4 assists in 21 games last season, 19 goal contributions in 32 games. So he's consistent. He's consistent. So there's people that will question whether he's up to the levels of playing for Arsenal, but he was also at Atletico Madrid's 12 goal contributions in 29 games in La Liga as well, before joining Wolves. So this is a player who's got Champions League experience. He's a good player. I like Matheus Cunha, but I agree with you. If there's a choice between Matheus Cunha and Nico Williams, I'm picking Nico Williams every day of the week.
The only plus that really Cunha's got is that he knows the Premier League, and he might help us for this. These last. His knowledge of that. Can help us more maybe at the moment than Nico Williams, but in the long run, maybe not. But maybe we're putting Cunha down. Maybe we're putting Cunha down. We're only seeing him really at Wolves, yeah, look, it's one that it's not. I can't say it's not close. Do you know what I mean? For me, on the others, like the players' side, and for me, that's all. There's no problem at all there, right? It's all about Cunha and Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then letting him leave and for what price they let him leave at. And at the moment, they're quite a long way off. But it helps with the fact that Cunha's is not signing that contract for some reason. And the manager of Wolves more or less said the other day that, do you know what I mean? It's quite natural. They asked him if his head's been turned by Arsenal, and he said that, well, he's a human being, and you can't blame him if his head has been turned by that. So, but yeah. And once Mick Arteta starts talking to you, do you know what I mean? And he's showing you the love. Do you know what I mean? He's pretty hard to turn down, isn't he? Players find it hard.
Yeah, 100%. Another player being linked, we spoke about him quickly last night. Sferi Naipam, youngster who's currently playing in Rosenborg, has got a whole heap of assists, goal contributions this season for the 18-year-old. He's been compared to Martin Odegaard. Steve, you mentioned that Arsenal were also on the lookout for some young central midfielders as well.
Yeah. I mean, this is someone who's been scouted for a while. I mentioned last night that that maybe this is someone sort of Odegaard's maybe mentioned to Arteta and said, have a look at this guy, and they've looked at him, they like him, and he's like one of these Norwegian wonder kids. So it's one to for the future, obviously. I mean, we do have players in that area sort of thing. So, yeah, whether it's not something I can see really happening in January, I wouldn't have thought. Yeah. It'll be like a summer one. But he's being looked at. He's been scouted. He looks like he's going to be a special talent. And look, most of these young kids now in Arsenal's the place to go. Really, do you know what I mean? People are now. They must see players like Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly, getting their chances in the first team, in a side that's, second in the league, in the Premier League. They must think, this is the place to go, for me to develop my career now. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and Arteta's probably doing that for that reason, to try and get some of these wonder kids, from abroad. So,
yeah. I mean, look, Man City do it. Chelsea do it. Mm-hmm. It's about time that Arsenal started doing it. There's no reason why they can't get these players in. I know the initial first thought is these need. How are they going to develop? Are they going to get game? Like they can get game time. They can develop. They can be a part of the squad. They'll be playing. They'll be training at a higher level. I mean, got to remember, it's coming from the Norwegian leagues and Rosenborg. Yes, they're playing men's football, but like there are levels to it. So. I don't think it's a case of where would he get game time? Do you see him coming? I think these players, an opportunity for a player from Norway to come to a club like Arsenal, massive.
Yeah,
massive. I don't think these are the kind of things they look to turn down, especially when you do see the players that are coming through at Arsenal that get opportunities, like Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri. We've seen Eddie Nketiah. Bukayo Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson. The list goes on. So you do get opportunities at Arsenal, no matter what people try and say. Is there any more transfer news to bring to people's attention, Steve?
No, not. It's a matter of, look, there's 2 weeks left. Cunha's obviously one to keep an eye on. I'm really probably, I'm expecting only one to probably come in. Do you know what I mean? So I can't see possibly two at the most. But I think, it looks to me, from talking to people today and just reading into things that, Arteta is looking for someone who can just play across. We've lost Saka, we lost Jesus. He's looking for someone who can play across that front three in all those three positions. I don't think he's happy with Sterling. I don't think that transfer's worked personally. He's a good player. Been a great player, and he's at times in his career, but he's just not working at Arsenal at the moment. It don't seem so. Yeah, I think a biggish name to come in who can cover across that front line. I mean, even if they was all fit anyway, I think we'd probably be looking, to do something like that anyway. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's something that we wouldn't. I just think it's became sort of like more urgent now than it was before. I don't think it's like changed his plan. It's not something that I think's changed his plans. If someone popped up, then we would have gone from him. He's always said, he's scouring the market, and if an opportunity arises, we're always there. But I do think Cunha's a bit of a not a panic buy, but I think it's more of a needs must sort of signing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not putting him down because he is a good player. He is a good player. So let's see what happens. But as I say, it probably will be for we probably will lose out on Nico Williams because of it, and it does seem like Arsenal are prepared to lose out on him because we are in talks with Cunha's people, over signing him, and we're waiting for Wolves. Even though apparently we haven't, with some people saying they haven't agreed personal terms. So maybe they're just sitting there, just have gone round for a cup of tea and some biscuit or something. And people do make you laugh.
Yeah, as we know, when you reach out to an agent, one of the first things you ask is, would you be interested in coming? Because otherwise there's no point in even having the conversation or taking it further. Or even talking about transfer fees. The next thing you ask is, how much would you want, basically? Essentially, would you be interested in this, and that?
Yeah.
Right, a ballpark figure. In principle, in verbal, personal terms have been agreed. Nothing's been signed, but in principle, personal terms have been agreed. And it's pretty standard. It's pretty standard.
I did try. I mean, I have got his agent's contact information. I've tried to talk to him, but of no avail. He's probably busy. But that's Giuliano Betrology. But I'm sorry, my Italian's not very good at pronunciations. Their name Bertolozzi or something like that. He's actually got the same agency as Gabriel Magalhaes, so they're obviously pretty familiar with each other, the two agencies as well, which is obviously something that will help, when he's coming into. And again, this makes me laugh about when people say there's no personal. They're actually sitting with the camp. They're talking with the people. Everybody's saying that. The guy's on some shitty wages. And it's like they say that, they haven't. What's the point of waiting for what Wolves are going to do if you haven't had the nod from the player that you want to come? I don't know how Arsenal fans just don't get led into these things, really. It's just common sense at the end of the day. But that's basically where we are.
All right. So that's the
latest
transfer news coming out of Arsenal. So genuinely, when it was hard enough, we need to put our resources into players to get over some sort of line. Yeah, no, I get it, Russ, but Arsenal aren't looking at players like now. Arsenal plan ahead. So they've got a short list of players that they would have had from last summer. They would have liked the look at. Your first, second, and third options. I don't want it. We've been there before where Arsenal have been on the lookout. The little black book that Emery used to have, or Raul Sanelli used to have. I don't want to go back there. I want to go for players that we planned because we know this is what we want. This is what we want in the team. This is what we need. The planning phase is important. And it's not a case of you don't get one, you don't get any. You got your first, second, and third options. And I think that's been the best way that our transfer has been going in recent years. We've been there before. We've seen the scattergun effect, and it's hard to get rid of those players. I see people talking about, why can't you just get a player in for a season, or two? How do you get rid of that player?
How do you get that?
First of all, you've got to sign him on a contract that ties in with the contracts that are at Arsenal. Because you're going to Arsenal, they know you're going to get more money than you would at a smaller club. So they're going to ask for that more money. So when it comes to trying to sell that player on, they've either got to take a pay cut or the clubs have got to pay more. or you've got to take less on a transfer fee because you're trying to get him off the books. And even more so, they know you're trying to get him off the books. Like, I get it. Arsenal need players. Arsenal do need players. That is without a doubt. But
it has to be the right. It has to be the right player. You can't. Every time, like, you know, these sort of conversations come up, and you're like, "Well, tell me who. Tell me who you want. Until you we want." And I've heard ridiculous, right? Oh yeah, just go and get Ferguson. Just go and get Cunha. Just go and get
Ferguson.
Go and get Johan Giroud. They're like, they're not.
What's Ferguson done?
But they come up with it. Oh, just pay, instead of pay 80 million for Sesko, and he won't come for 150 million. He's not coming. Forget it. He's not coming. He's got an agreement in his contract that he's said that he's got a gentleman's agreement and he will leave in the summer.
Yeah. Do you know what I keep seeing people write?
I don't understand people's logic.
Well, put the money down for Sesko or Gutierrez, and then see if he wants to come. I'm like, what?
Do you think they haven't spoken to him?
Way of doing things would that be? Put the money down and then speak to Gutierrez. What? Oh, yeah. Well, Enzo Fernandez says he wasn't joining. Yeah, no, he told the world he wasn't joining because he just joined Benfica 6 months prior. But as soon as that camera came off him, I'm pretty sure his agent would have been on the phone to Todd Bowley, and Todd Bowley said, I will give you 5 times the amount you are on right now and a 5-year contract. And he went, do you know what? I am going to go. So look, like, you can't just say Arsenal put the money down and then go. No, we can't get back into where we were before. What, turning around? Stop asking Arsenal to have the same model as Chelsea. What Chelsea's model does not mean ambition. It really doesn't. It means you've got an owner that's got an endless amount of money. When they had Roman Abramovich, he had a blank check. And when he left, he wrote off his debts for Chelsea. That no one does that. No one does that. So trying to compare Arsenal to Real Madrid, Man City, Chelsea, like you're supporting the wrong team. You are supporting the wrong team. Arsenal don't just go out and spend loads of money on players and then not think about where their next money is going to come from, because they haven't got hotels to sell. They haven't got mates in Saudi Arabia that will take players off your hand that no one wants and pay a fair market price for them. Like it's just sometimes I think you've got to understand the club that you chose to support. So you shouldn't be picking this club and then getting annoyed that they're not doing what other people are doing. Like it's not realistic.
See, another one is like where you say, where comes West Ham and Brighton have bid for this player? How comes like they've got him? How comes they're bidding for him? How comes they keep buying players? How come? Well, I'll tell you why they ain't bought no. It's because they ain't spent nothing over the last 10, like God knows how many years. You know, and their money builds up, and their finances, you know, their books are balanced, and they're able to spend more because they haven't spent loads and loads of money like an Arsenal have or Man City have or Man United. Mate, you know. Why do you think Man City couldn't spend no money in the summer? They couldn't spend nothing. They had no money. They got rid of Alvarez. Do you think they didn't want a striker? Do you think they didn't want to go and go and buy one? Mm-hmm. Of course they did. They would have gone and bought a striker, but why didn't they? Yeah, because it was so late in the seasons, and the clubs were already set up to go, and they didn't want to sell any of their strikers now. It was too late. And it was too late for them. There's reasons why clubs don't sell. The reason why clubs don't want to sell their players. You can put as much money as you down as you like, right? Clubs are in Champions Leagues. Clubs are fighting relegation. Yeah, clubs are fighting for titles. What do you think? You know, Goroikis, you know, they're top of the Portuguese league. Do you really think that the sporting owner's going to say, "Oh yeah, go on, Goroikis, off you pop"?
Yeah.
You know, like Sesko, they're on the verge of Champions League. You know, they got right there. They're in the middle of the season. They've got Yeah, go on. Off you go, Cisco. I don't mind. We'll just go backwards. You know, is
Yeah,
that? Do you think they got? You think they're going to sell him at 60 million when they're fighting Champions League in January? No. So
people's
what?
logic goes out the window. It
So what
really
do you get
does.
left with? Do you get left with like the panic ones, and then you get left with like the Osmans who we've never wanted, the Durans, right? I mean, do you want Duran leading the line for Arsenal for the next 5 years? No, I don't. Do you want Ferguson leading the line? No. Do you know what I mean? But we'll come off the show, and hopefully the people who are watching, you know, will sort of relate and put across what we're telling you. But it don't go in. It doesn't go in. Yeah, look, you know, we don't want Arsenal panic buying, and all the strikers that keep getting mentioned are just not available. So it's and you just can't throw money and say, you know, oh, Stan Kroenke, you know, give us extra 200 million now and spend it because we need it. Just don't look. And the thing is, with like, you know, teams like Arsenal now, do you know what I mean? You're one or two players away from, you know, possibly getting into a Champions League final or winning the Premier League, or, you know, going on for the next 2 or 3 years to and winning the Premier League. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You need a player or two players, and you've got to, and they're Pacific, and they've got to be the right profile. If you listen to fans online, they're like, "Oh, get him, buy him, bring him in, get him." It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work like that. You've got to like. It's like looking for that midfield player. We needed Declan Rice. Yeah, you know, he was targeted as the man. I want him. People were going all around. Oh, I want him. Get him. We can't get Rice. Get him. No, we wanted him.
Yeah,
and he was the man. Just like Sesko is the man. You've got to keep, you know, you've got to believe in yourself as a manager and as a club. You've got to go for your main target. Now, if you start deviating away from that and start looking at players and just for like panic buying, then you'll end up the following year we'll be finishing fifth, and then Arsenal fans will be going, "Well, why have we finished fifth?" Well, then that'll be why, probably because we've bought someone who's just not fit the right profile and panicked.
Russ says, "What player would you like to get? Like us to get in the January transfer window?"
Like, or what, realistically?
Yeah.
Realistically? Do you know what? I'm with, like, I'm we've heard Arteta. If it doesn't mean we get us getting our main targets, I'd rather not have anybody personally. You know, if we can get a Valavic on loan with an option, yeah, until the summer, and then we make if Valavic all of a sudden scores 20 goals or 15 goals while he's on loan with us, then, you know, we might think this guy's made for Arsenal, and then maybe if it's because he's 24, you go, well, maybe he's our man. He's our man. But you can't buy him now. You can only do it as an option, you know. But maybe Valavic as an option, and an option to buy, because I know that it realistically is available, and someone who is for sale who we can get. But
do you think they're potentially going to buckle and allow him to go out on loan, or do you think it's a no?
Who like Valavic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying they want 60 million, but obviously they are. Sorry, not 60 million. I'm thinking of another player now. I think it's 40. I think it's 60 million euro. Well, it's about 48. Then it's something like that. And they're going to say that they're obviously going to want a straight sale. But I think if they, in the end, they can't get rid of him. I mean, he hasn't played for a few weeks. I think the next best thing was we just get his wages off the books. So, yeah, and I know Arteta does like Valavic. He just isn't his main guy. Do you know what I mean? He's just not his main. I think, you know, it's just not his main guy. But yeah, I mean, be interesting to see what people in the comments who they would like. It'd be good to listen to hear who they would like to bring in. But I think realistically, mate, he's the only one. I can't think of anybody else who's a possibility. He's the only
Right.
one. What about you?
Look, I'm of the same thinking. Look, if we can get a loan in, it'll be nice. Look, I can't really have too much to say on Balivic. That's why I'd be more interested in that loan option.
Yeah, definitely. Same.
I don't know. I've not seen Balivic play since Fiorentina. Didn't watch him at Juventus. And that was 3 years ago. That was a 21-year-old, and it's a different player. How much has he progressed in those 3-4 years? That's the thing.
That's what I mean. He's not been like pulling up trees recently. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean his goal record's not bad at all. But
he's like he's like that signing where you like, oh, we can't lose type of thing. Do you know what I mean? We can bring him in. If we can bring him in as an option, pay his wages, then we can send him back. You know, Juventus, we can pay his wages, and Juventus, obviously, we're doing them a favour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? By paying his wages, he can do us a favour by helping us through the last 5 months of the season. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. That's the only one. I can't. You know, it's no use me saying. I mean, people want me to say Sesko and Isaac or Giorgis or Osman, but they're not happening in January. They're not. Osman's a possibility that it could happen in January. It's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not totally out of the question. But again, Arsenal haven't really been pushing for him at all in past past windows or looking at him, and he's, from all I keep hearing, he's not the profile that we've been looking at. You know, we want in a forward. Mm-hmm. So he's not someone who can play on the left, play on the right, or play in various positions like an Havertz or a Sesko. Arteta likes his forwards, whether they're left, right, forward, to play in a variety of positions. Osman's not that player.
Yep. Jonathan says, I think some of the fans think it's FIFA transfers are not as simple, and you can't just go and sign this and that player. No, 100%.
That's right. Yeah.
See you, mate. I think we'll move on to the next topic. One of the things that keep popping up recently is a few people have a few things to say about our captain Martin Odegaard. Most recently, a couple of people, Jamie Carragher, a couple of other people, have stated that he doesn't make enough brave runs in certain areas, not enough attacking play in certain games where we're trying to playing against a team on a low block, and they're just not seeing him do enough in certain areas. They want more from him. What's your take on that, Steve? Do you feel like Martin Odegaard is getting a bit harshly criticised there?
Massively, mate. massive. I just can't. I don't know how professional footballers come up with these analyses. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure it's just about something to say. I mean, surely if you know anything about the game, surely if you know anything about Arsenal, surely if you know anything about football and have just watched Arsenal play, one thing that everybody will say about Martin Odegaard, he's someone who just runs, he's all over the place. You know, he pops up in the 6, he pops up in the 8, he's just like a Duracell battery. The only thing that what Carragher's picked up on is on the way he's been since his injury, and that's what he's based an old fucking Monday Night Football on. Excuse my French, and it's like, that's just lazy. Do you know what I mean? That's just lazy. That's just to get clicks the next day. You know, on your because then he'll normally tweet it out what he's written, and then he'll get a load of interaction off Arsenal fans or whatever, or other fans, thinking he's funny because they're saying Odegaard's crap and all that, and blah, and he's never been any good and all that. So, yeah, and that's what you start off. But no, mate, I totally disagree. As I say, the only sort of thing I can say is that he's since his injury, he's not been that all action Martin Odegaard that we've known over the last 2-3 seasons,
Yeah.
especially over the last 2 seasons. So no worries there. Just for me, that's just Carragher blowing hot air and just talking again.
Mm-hmm.
Total nonsense. Because we know Martin Odegaard, we know the type of player he is. I'm sure Mikel Arteta, if he was listening to that, would have been just like shaking his head like we are, and with. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know what you think, but it's just, yeah, no, I don't agree with what you said at all, mate.
No, I agree. Like, I saw someone turn around and talk about my main concern at the moment is the amount of players that are regressing under Mikel Arteta, and I just thought to myself, "Oh,
Jesus Christ, man!"
I mean, I think to myself, but you can't. That there's a difference between regression, yeah, and form. Like you can't state that a player has regressed based on like a cross section of about 3 games. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Do you know what I mean? If after 2 seasons, Martin Odegaard is got suddenly worse, yeah, then I could get it. But Mikel Arteta with Martin Odegaard is a better player now than he was when he joined.
Yeah, 100%.
So where's the regression? I just it's called form, people. There is such a thing called form. You can look at this season and go, do you know what? Based on this season, and then across the last 2 seasons, this season seems like a bit of an anomaly. Let's break it down. Well, over this season, we've had 3 key injuries across here over 2 months. This season, 2 key injuries across 3 months, but it was spread out here. Oh, this season, key injuries here, key injuries there, and this is not me making an excuse. This is just facts, yeah. So when we look at the overall season, yeah, like add a little bit of context to it. Just add a little bit of context to it. Stop just making these big statements that just give me a headache, and then I have to screenshot it, and then I end up making a video on it, and then people are like, "It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion." And I'm like, yeah, well, as soon as you put your opinions into public domains and I see them, then I'm going to have an opinion on your opinion. So if you don't want your opinion to be heard, or if you don't want anyone to have any say on what you think, then talk to a wall. Go and say it in your bedroom and talk to a mirror, because that person there will agree with everything you're saying. Do you know what I mean? Don't come into the socials and expect an echo chamber and everyone to agree with what you're saying, especially when you're talking out of your backside. You're talking nonsense. So when we talk about Martin Odegaard, I do feel like it's a bit unfair to take how he's been playing since he's come back from injury, not take anything into account what he's done over the last.
And he ain't been that bad either. He ain't been that bad.
He ain't. And not taking anything into account what he's done over the last 2 seasons. To turn around now and point out the Newcastle game and say, oh, he needs to be braver. If you're saying in this specific game you want him to be braver, that's fair. That's fair. He needs to be braver here. In moments like this, I want to see him get into this, because in those positions, he's good. In this position here, if he takes up a position here, in and amongst the defence, in that little pocket there, rather than sitting in front of it, which is easier for defenders to defend, then he's more dangerous, because I've seen him create stuff in those areas. To say that from Martin Odegaard, you don't really get this, nah, just stop it. Stop doing it. It's nonsense. You're talking rubbish. To say Martin Odegaard doesn't create in those tight pockets in certain areas, rubbish. What I will say is sometimes Martin Odegaard ain't getting his runners. 2 seasons ago, Saka weren't even making those runs enough. Martinelli weren't even making those runs enough, the diagonal runs inward. Now Saka makes them on a regular basis, especially with Odegaard. What I think we need to see is more players around Odegaard that Odegaard can play with. Yeah, Trossard gets the ball. He's looking for the 1-2 to get into a shooting area. I think if Arsenal are after a Zubimendi, if Arsenal have a Fabio Vieira in the team, if Arsenal have an Emil Smith Rowe in the team that plays with an Odegaard, I think you're seeing a better Odegaard. Right now, I think you're seeing an Odegaard who's being relied on too much. There's a lack of creativity in the squad outside of him. Yes, Trossard can do it, but other than that, it's in short supply. It's in very short supply, especially with no Saka there. And I just think, like, we're talking about someone who, over the last 2 seasons, we were lauding. We were saying, look, if you're looking at the stats, the only person that he's competing with, one jumps down my throat and says that I'm comparing him to Kevin De Bruyne. We're talking about stats. And stats-wise, the only person that was close to Kevin De Bruyne 2 seasons ago was Odegaard. So that's why we're comparing. We're not comparing who's better. We're saying, as in, that's the only... And he was hitting those numbers. Yes, Odegaard. Yes, Kevin De Bruyne smashed it out of the park in the end because that's Kevin De Bruyne. That's the player that you will talk about as one of the greatest of all time. So when I say Martin Odegaard was hitting close to those stats, there's nothing wrong with saying that.
No. And he'd been playing like 8 years.
Now, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. I'm just not having it.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I mean, that's probably, said it in a nutshell, mate. It's just, just got to dismiss it. There's things that, Martin Odegaard, as you say, it's form. I think it's form. I don't think the fact that, Saka, I mean, he's the main man there that probably, when you come up against other teams that they're afraid of, that they're scared of, normally players would be sort of swarming around Saka. I don't know if you've noticed now, it's like Saka, whether you put 1, 2, 3 men on Saka, this is why I think he's on that next trajectory to go up to that level of possibly world class, or if he ain't there already. 1, 2, 3 players around Saka, it don't matter. You put 6 players around him, right? He'll come up with the thought to play the right pass or go through them and do that. You're getting more players worried about Odegaard now, so you're getting defenders, so that's making it more harder for him. And he's just he's just come back from injury, and do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't even mind this, why pick on him? Do you know what I mean? Why pick on him? He's still been one of our best players, over the last 5, 6 games.
Yeah.
But so I don't understand it. And the regression of Arsenal's players, again, it's like you said, it's what regression? Regression. If Arsenal players were in regression and we're second in the league and we're in regression and we're in third in the Champions League, I hate to think what your clubs are in. Do you know what I mean? If Arsenal are in regression, because maybe people should be worrying about what their own clubs are doing then. I mean, again, I haven't got no worries about Arsenal. We just need, more than anything, we need a full team back. We need a squad back. And once we have, I think we'll be okay. I think Ben White's been a massive miss. I just think I know Timber's been great and he's been brilliant, but I just think White just gives you something. He just gives you something that he's. I think it's like, even if it's just his presence on the pitch, he's aura on the pitch. Even if it's just that, the fact that he's there, I think makes the team around him feel good, feel better.
I think
when he's in the team.
We're dismissing the fact that what's Ben White, 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah,
right. He's a big lump. You're losing that. So wherever you have that on the pitch, you've got an extra body on the pitch that's
Timber's about 5'11", isn't he? Timber's is smaller.
Yeah, and I really like Timber. This is no slot on Timber, and I think there's room in this team for Timber and Ben White. Especially, if you look at our injuries this season, I'm not against Mikel Arteta bringing another defender in the summer, especially if you're looking at Jakub Kiwior going, Tomiyasu going, Zinchenko going. You've got to bring in 3 players. You've got to Tierney going. You've got to bring in three defenders at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear people moaning about Arsenal bringing in defenders. They need to. So look. I think we're missing White. I think it's very easy to say, look, you just stick Timber there. It's a different style of player. Timber doesn't get down the flank like Wright does. White is more of an old school right back, which is he will overlap Saka. Timber ain't overlapping. He's an
No.
inverted fullback.
Yeah.
And I love the inverted fullback, but there's still room for the classic right back, the fullback in our team.
Yeah.
Don't dismiss the cross in the box. How many times did Ben White whip a ball in the box to the point that it was to the point, with Ben White's crosses that he hits them at a lovely pace, a lovely trajectory. Like Ben White was crossing was excellent. So I think we're missing that big time, big time. Looking forward to him coming back.
Mm-hmm.
What Jonathan said, I think the injury when he went away with Norway, he's talking about Odegaard, doesn't seem last season hasn't been the same, but last 2 games he's been a massive improvement, getting back to his best now. Really just hope we don't panic in the last days of the window. Yeah, exactly. They'll go all out for Rashford and then Cuckoo. I mean, have you seen Cuckoo do anything at Chelsea? I feel for the guy, but I watched him the other day against some I can't remember they were playing, but he was non-existent.
Yeah.
I
think Arsenal are done with them little I think Arsenal want the man there. I think we're in a position where we buy the best. We want the best guy who's around. And I personally think, we're in a position now. I know we haven't won the title or the Champions League, but I genuinely believe that Arsenal are in a position now where we can go out there and buy the best, whoever that is. Do you know what I mean? We can be in the conversation to bring that player to the Emirates, and that's what that's down to. That's down to Mikel Arteta, the man who gets slagged off. That's all down to him. He's the one that's done that for us. No, he's the one. Do you know what I mean? When was it? Can you remember before he come or before he started to turn it around? Some of the players that we was linked with, and we was getting excited. you look at them now and you think, God,
I think
we want Isaac, who's probably up there with the best strikers in world football at the moment. But we know we got a chance. There's a genuine chance that he could sign for Arsenal because of who we are, and Arteta's done that, and the Cronkies have done that. So people have got to, sort of calm a bit when they start slagging these people off. Remember where we were. Remember who we used to get linked with. Remember those clans we used to get.
Giant and Villa.
Yeah, God, man. It was absolute. We got excited over him. Do you know what I mean? Stephen Oxley. We was Oxley. Great, good players, Oxley. Yeah, take us to the next level. Can you imagine getting linked with him now? Do you know what I mean? And the reason why we don't get linked with these players is because of what the Cronkies have done and what Arteta done. Whatever you want to, whatever way you want to go with your agenda and say, the Cronkies, Arteta. They're the people who put us in that position now to be in the conversation to get these players. Remember that.
Yeah, remember that. All right, now on to the preview of Arsenal's game against Dinamo Zagreb. Champions League is back on. Arsenal currently sit 3rd in the Champions League standings. And this is, how many more games have we got left of this? It's like 2
3,
more?
isn't it?
3?
Is it? Hold on.
3.
We've got Girona. We've got Spartak. Is it? Have we played them? It's Shakhtar and Girona, isn't it?
Hold on.
3 games that we should pick up 9 points with, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, Girona on Wednesday the 29th, followed by who else? No, I think that's it.
No, we got other games, didn't we?
Who else did we have?
I think you play 8 games, didn't you? So we played 5, haven't we?
Zagreb, Girona, next 2. Champions League standings.
Is that 8 games in after those? Have we played 6 now?
I feel like we have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it's just those. Just those
Yeah, we played 6.
Yeah, so it'd be those 2 then. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right. So obviously injuries, but the latest is that Califuori's back in the squad. He's back training. And what was the other one? The other latest?
Then where he's back.
Yeah, and
Saliba's will be back for before the Man City game. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so
and California's missed the last 3 games due to an injury, while Ethan Neri has been sidelined since earlier this month with a muscle injury. And you're going to get that from players like Neri, and you're probably going to get it from Miles Lewis-Skelly as well. The fact that they're playing in a different level of football, they're pushing their muscles. So yeah, probably going to pick up injuries. Russ pointed out Higuain.
Yeah.
I don't even think Higuain would have been that bad though, especially at the time. I still wish we'd have got that Suarez deal.
Benzema was another one.
We've
linked with Benzema every year.
Benzema, mate, that would have been a great signing. We were linked with Leon as well, weren't we? I think it was. Never got that one over the line. What do you think the lineup's going to be tomorrow? Obviously, we've still got a few injuries.
We've got Wolves on Saturday, haven't we?
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, if Calafiori's fit, I'd play him. I'd keep Miles Lewis-Skelly probably in the. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, that's a difficult one. Miles Lewis-Skelly or Calafiori? Would we? Yeah. If he's fit enough, I'd probably play Calafiori at left back. Give Lewis-Skelly a rest. I think obviously more Champions League experienced player is Calafiori, but I don't know how fit he is. He might not be match fit, if not Lewis-Skelly. But yeah, look, let's go.
I don't know. I'd like to ease Calafiori. We did this before, didn't we? Recently with Calafiori, brought him back in.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
up before the end of the game. I just feel like we're bringing our players back as soon as they get back straight into it. It's like there's no bring him on for the first, like the last 10, then bring him on for 20, then he gets a start. Like it's like he's back straight in the starting lineup, and we just pushed him too much. I think.
Yeah. I think we can. I'd play Kior and Gabriel.
Okay.
Timber at right back, Lewis-Skelly left back. Then Partey, Rice, Odegaard. I'd stick with Trossard, Havertz, and Martinelli.
Okay.
We ain't got a lot of choice apart from unless you play Sterling. I'd go with that.
And it's a bit of a mixed match team, but it's enough against Dynamo Zagreb away from home. They've probably not got a good record in England as well, have they?
Is it away? Is it?
No, for Dynamo. Sorry.
Oh yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, but get Partey back in where he's used to playing. I think the thing is bringing Kioi in. That's the one that's sort of like, but I think Kior's decent. I think he can play with Gabriel, on that right hand side. I think he's played there before. I think, and it's not like we're playing against a really good top European side. So I think we can. I think he's more than good enough to. But that for me, it's all about allowing Partey to play in his normal position and getting back into that right-sided position. And and then like if Kior plays well, because I'd rather see Kior play in centre back than probably Timber. I'd rather Timber be our right back and Partey slot into the left, into the centre of midfield, because we're a different team when he plays in that sixth. So yeah, I think. What would your team be?
And
Rare in goal, obviously.
Rare in goal, the ever present. I'd like to see Timber at right back. Whether we're going to, I don't know. Could Arteta potentially be thinking that this may be a game where we could rest a few players? We should have enough to be beating Dinamo Zagreb with any team we really be putting out.
Who are you playing right back then? If you're not Timber,
That's the thing. We're so short. We're so short.
It's only party, isn't it?
It's only party, so I'm going to go Timber. I can't.
Yeah,
Moan about party playing at right back and then the opportunity to move him in, do someone else. I would say I would like to see Zinchenko's fit. Play Zinchenko back.
Yeah, shout.
Centre back pairing of Jakub Kiwior, Gabriel, because again,
no one else.
We've got many options. Centre midfield of Partey, Moreno, Odegaard.
No Rice. No, you're giving him a rest.
I'll give him a rest.
Yeah. Okay.
Just something about Rice. He just seems to have. A big part of his game is about his stamina and his press and his work rate. So when you can give him a rest in these games, give him a rest.
Give him a rest, yeah.
On the right, Martinelli, and left, Trossard. Up front, Havertz, because I think the forwards need to be getting some goals, and I think it's good to get some confidence in that team.
Yeah.
Whether we're going to see that starting lineup, I do not know, but yeah,
that should be enough, shouldn't it?
It should be enough. Like I think we should be beating someone like Dinamo Zagreb, and I think we should be putting some goals away against them, especially at home. Especially at home, it's an opportunity to bag some goals. But I've just got a feeling it's going to be like a 1-0 or a 2-0. And we might be a bit frustrated like we have been in this season with some of our finishing. I hope not. Because I really do think these games are good to get some confidence, and especially if we're going to come out of this game with some confidence. Again, go back into the Wolves game, a game where that could quite easily be a one where we smash Wolves and put 3 or 4 or even more past.
I wonder if Cunha play.
I don't know. They're having a bit of trouble at the moment, aren't they? Because is it Lamina is also wants out, and the manager said, "I don't want anyone in the team that's even questioning being there," and he's essentially off to Saudi. And then obviously with Cunha, if Cunha's looking like his head has turned, and the manager's already stated he doesn't want anyone in the team that has any doubt. He said, "Well, I don't see Cunha playing," and they've got players that can play. I thought, you know what? I thought you were so engrossed with what I was saying there that you
was I frozen? Frozen was I?
Yeah. So look, I think with what the manager said about Lamina, and the fact that he doesn't want anyone in the team with any doubts, I don't think we're going to see Cunha play. They've got options that they can play. Sarabia. Hoi, what's his name? Who's the Korean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to get it. It'll wind me up.
Lee, is it Lee or someone?
It is Hwang Hee-chan.
Oh, that was absolutely nowhere near it.
You weren't ever getting that. Is it Hoi? Lee?
Bruce?
No,
is it Bruce? I mean, Bruce Lee?
It's not. It's not. Completely wrong. So yeah, they've got options.
Yeah.
Chan and Sarabia are usually the options. They've also playing Guidas as well. Larson. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him play. 2 players that they've already.
Well, he certainly won't be playing if. But that's interesting. You see that he agreed a contract and now he's just refusing to sign it. I mean,
yeah. Well, we saw that. We've seen that with Trossard, didn't we? When the players ain't happy, they ain't happy, and they can pull out of deals. All right. That is all we have time for, people. It's the first time in a while we've finished on the dot, or not on the dot. It's still past, but you know what I mean. If you are new to the show, press that like and subscribe button. If you are watching on YouTube, if you are on Twitter, please press that like button and that retweet. It makes a massive difference. If you are a regular, press that like, press that share button on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, because again, that helps with the algorithm as well. Thanks for joining us tonight, Steve.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure.
All right. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.
Liverpool going through a situation right now with 3 of their top players and contract situations.